Hello there, my name is Luciano Oliveira. I'm a Brazilian attorney, and today I'm going to be answering this question. When is the digital nomad visa in Brazil a better option than permanent residency in Brazil? So, of course, the digital nomad visa, it's something temporary. It's good for a single year, renewable for a second year, and the permanent residency, just as the name says, it's permanent. So they're pretty different. However, we've been asked by our clients during our consultations whether they should get the digital nomad visa instead. And I'm going to explain two reasons why the digital nomad visa may be a better choice, at least for a specific amount of time, than the permanent residency. The first reason is because it's much easier to meet the requirements for getting the digital nomad visa. The digital nomad visa requires straightforward documents, and most of the time the Brazilian immigration, they are gonna try to get you approved. What do I mean by that? If there is something like a gray area, if there is a document that's in between, they almost always are gonna choose to go to your side and say, you know what, I'm gonna help this person get the digital nomad visa. When you are applying for the permanent residency, it's actually the opposite, because it's something really serious. Most of the time it's gonna be based on either a marriage or the real estate investment. So the Brazilian immigration is going to change this kind of approach, and they're going to say, you know what, now because this thing is so high level from an immigration benefit perspective, I'm going to expect everything to be on point. Okay, I'm gonna give you an exact example of what I'm talking about here. In terms of criminal records, you need to present criminal records for the digital nomad visa, and you also need to provide criminal records for the permanent residency. However, when you are applying for the digital nomad, you can basically, and particularly if you are applying in Brazil, you can basically provide any type of criminal records. If we're talking about the US, if you get the criminal records from Los Angeles City, or if you get the records from the state of California, they are pretty fine. The Brazilian immigration is going to give you thumbs up, and they are going to move your application along. However, if you are applying for the permanent residency based on marriage, guess what? They are going to refuse those records. They are going to say, you know what, I want the FBI nationwide records based on fingerprinting, which is a much more difficult and expensive type of criminal records to get. If you are in the US as we speak, not that difficult. You could use maybe a service like Identigo. You can see here the name, Identigo. But if you are in Brazil, you're not going to be able to get the FBI records. So this is an example of how the immigration is going to change the way they evaluate the requirements depending on these two types of immigration benefits. So that's the first answer to why the digital nomad visa may be better than the permanent resident in some occasions. The second reason why the digital nomad visa may be better than the permanent residency is related to tax. So we're not going to be discussing about taxes in details, but the point is, when you secure the permanent residency, automatically you're going to become a tax resident. If you are a permanent resident, if you've been a permanent resident for a single day, for a single week, for a single month, you are a tax resident. That means you're going to need to file a tax return in Brazil, and you're going to be declaring your income not only in Brazil, but your global income, just like the US. Right? The US requires that US citizens declare their worldwide income, and this is going to be the same thing for Brazil, which is a big commitment for anyone to make. However, if you are securing the digital nomad visa, you do not become a tax resident automatically. You don't become a tax resident automatically. You're going to become a tax resident if you exceed 183 or 184 days in the country per year. Okay, so if you're getting the digital nomad visa and if you choose to stay for 183 days per year, from this legal background point of view, you're not gonna be a tax resident automatically. Again, for some circumstances, the digital nomad visa would be better than the permanent residency. A third reason why the digital nomad visa may be better than the permanent residency is when people are moving to Brazil in a rush. In our experience, for people to secure all the requirements for an application of a marriage-based permanent residency, it takes them several months to secure such paperwork. And if they are moving to Brazil in a month or in a couple of months, they are not going to be able to secure such requirements. In that case, it may make sense to use the digital nomad visa as a bridge in order to keep the foreign citizen in legal status, and most importantly, to get the Brazilian ID card known as RNEMA. You can see an example over here, and get started with his life, getting a bank account and getting other benefits that the foreign citizen is not going to have unless the foreign citizen gets the RNEMA. And again, the digital nomad visa, although a pretty simple and easy to get visa, is going to get access for this foreign citizen to the RNEMA ID card. So again, digital nomad visa is a pretty flexible, nimble, and helpful visa that, of course, it does not afford the permanent residency as the marriage would provide, but it provides so many good things under such low requirements that it may be a better choice for a lot of citizens out there. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you also download our free ebook, The 7 Most Common Mistakes by Foreign Citizens when Applying for the Digital Nomad Visa, and follow us for more tips.